Gentlemen, hey, we ready to start? You feeling good? It's not rhetorical. You've been seeing blank looks. Jesus. Yeah. All right, you're excited. We have 3 from Canada here. That's okay. I guess. We'll make it work. I mean, I like Canadians generally. So it should be all right. Generally like them. What's that? I see the guns. I know. I get it.
There it is.
And I'm guessing not NDP either. I'm guessing not. Oh, I've been to Canada probably like 60 times. I go there all the time. Well, I used to. I had to shut it down for a while after COVID fired up. Now I'm back. Anyway, all right. So this is skills and drills. We've got 2 days of shooting. We're not going to systematically go through every skill set that I think you should have for doing USPSA or IPSC, as the Canadians are going to do. We're going to do just some fundamentals quick in the morning, maybe like an hour of that, and then we'll be flipping into more dynamic drills. So we're going to be working a lot on multiple targets, so target transitions, target focus, and then a lot of movement skills. So shooting into and out of position, that type of stuff, the type of skills that you need for a match or for any kind of high-level shooting. The way that it works is we've got 2 bays here that we're going to use for most of it. Unless we're all together on one bay, which I said, it'll just be brief this morning. We'll have 2 different exercises set up, and then I'll flip back and forth. I'll run one bay. So, people will be up there shooting. Okay. We finish up that turn. While the bay's resetting, I'll go to the other bay and run that one. All right. So it should be efficient. We've been finishing, we've been shooting the right number of rounds and getting through all the material I wanted to and finishing pretty early. So, hey, that's good. If we can make it efficient, that's better. Then you'll get a few attempts at whatever drill. You'll rotate around on the bays, get a good look at everything, and then we'll flip it to different exercises. So you should get to do a lot of shooting. Probably get to shoot about as many rounds as you want. How much ammo did everybody bring? You brought 1,000 today? Yeah. If you want to do it in 1,000, you'll be fine with that amount. If you want to shoot more, you're certainly going to have the opportunity. As guys start to drag later on in the day, especially tomorrow, some of you will be more motivated than others, and that's okay. Yeah, you got more ammo than the truck. That's good. Okay. So that's how the basic format of the course is going to be. It'll be you're doing a drill, basically shooting it a few times, and I'll be watching and trying to give you feedback. That's pretty much what's going to go down. As far as safety stuff, we're not going to do anything wild as far as what you might see in a USPSA match. It'll be a few people shooting straight down range, maybe moving laterally and shooting down range. That'll be it. It's not going to be anything nuts. We're going to run the range. It'll be cold. So guns unloaded when you go up there to shoot. It'll be all right, make ready. And then from that point on, as far as I'm concerned, you can handle your gun as and when you feel it's appropriate. So what I want to have happen is we get whoever's supposed to be shooting a drill up there. All right, make ready. They load their guns. Then you get a start beep, draw, shoot the drill, and then assume you're going to do it again. You probably will. So change mags if you have to make that happen, holster up, and just get ready to do it again. I don't want you unloading your shit all the time. It just wastes time. Also, if you need to draw your gun at any time, when you're up there supposed to be shooting, as long as it's safe, nobody walked down range, I will be fine with you drawing your gun. So I want to check my sight. Oh, I forgot to change mags. You don't have to ask me. I don't want you to. I just want you to change magazines or whatever and get ready to do it again. If you need to step away for any reason, you don't really have to ask. Just unload and you can step away if you got to go take care of something. When we're all finished with the drills, it'll be all right, everybody unload. Everybody will unload together. Use a little bit of situational awareness. Make sure that that's done before you walk down range, but then we'll go down range, check out the targets, reset it, and get ready for the next people. Okay, so hot range or cold range. Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
All right, that is good. Okay, so here's the part that people maybe don't like. I don't really want to watch you shoot in a way that you're comfortable. So if you're shooting nice tighty group on the target, I'm just going to tell you to go faster. Like, go faster, because I want to see you kind of on the limit of your technique where things start to break apart. So I'm not going to be super result oriented, meaning if you shoot a lot of A's, like, I'll just tell you to go faster. If you're shooting bad hits, you'll probably not be told to slow down. It'll be, all right, we're going to try to make a correction and make this better, but I'm not going to be upset that you're shooting bad hits. It's mostly like, are you connecting why that's happening? That's kind of what we're looking for. I'm going to try to get your frustration level to like a nice simmer, and just keep it there. I don't want the pot to boil over. Like, who would do it in this group? Matt, maybe, like throwing mags over the berm.
Could be me, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want that. But close to that, like just a little bit frustrated. That's where people get the most out of the training, where they're not quite getting what they want, but they're still being pushed and working at it. And I don't want it to be too easy. So the feedback's going to come in two forms: make a correction or go faster. All right. Does that work for everybody?
Yes. Yep.
All right. You'll leave here with a pretty good list of habits that you have that you don't like. It's going to be basically impossible to change them while we're doing stuff. You can put your brain on one thing at a time. So if we're really focused on grip, you'll get your grip to do what you want. And then we flip to doing something else. It's just going to go back to the way it was. And then it'll be up to you to change those habits moving forward. Man, that is loud. That is really loud. All right. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's get started. Grab your magazines and stuff. We'll go up there and get going. We have a safe word. Sort of. All right. I'll show you the first exercise we're going to do. This is how we're going to do marksmanship fundamentals. I assume all you guys are checked out on that. Like, you're good at this, right?
Yeah.
That's good. I was hoping somebody would bite. All right. I'll make an example for you. Actually, I'll make a few examples of the exercise we're going to do. Suppose I have to turn the timer on. All right, here we go. Now, if your group's going into a small pattern like the second example, what am I going to tell you to do? Go faster. That's right. I'll make you a good example of things that are going to happen. All right. Come on up here. So what happened in that second example? So we're shooting more or less into a small group. What went on in the second example? Anybody?
You look at your dot at the top one.
Yes. So what we're doing is we're going to look at a small spot, draw the gun, grip it away, we judge as acceptable. Like, your grip feels right to you. Okay? There's no time limit for the draw. We're not assessing that. Okay? Do not care. Instead, I want you to... What the hell are they doing? That's so loud. Jesus. All right. So anyway, there's no time limit for the draw specifically for this reason. I want you to get the grip that you feel is right. Now, if you're shooting into a small group like this, I'll just be like, hey, go faster. That's what I want to see. I want you to go faster. Now, as things start to break down, rounds are not going to go quite where you want. And the solution here is not to slow down. Of course, keep shooting aggressively, and you want to try to connect cause with effect, right? The bad example I gave, or I guess the good bad example. It was a good example of bad things. There we go. That'll be a really common thing where when I started shooting, I was first shot going in here, push down on the gun, second round there. Gun recentered, first round went there, second round went there. Then I changed what I was doing. First round went there, second round went there. First there, second there. That type of thing. The point here is that as you're standing here drawing and shooting, pair, you're probably going to change things that you are doing, right? It's not like your grip and technique is a fixed point. It's going to start to change. Okay, typically the changes that are going to happen is your dominant hand tenses up more and more and more. Like what this leads to, so right-handed shooters typically push rounds down low left as they're trying to fight the recoil. This is very common. Okay, one thing that can cause your dominant hand to tense up, like let's say your support hand comes onto the gun, it's connected, and then it starts to leave a little bit. You'll sense that loss of control, and dominant hand takes over as you try to control the gun. That is the thing that can happen. Like again, as we're shooting, we're going to shoot a lot of rounds on this, by the way. As we're doing that, it's what we're trying to do is see what you're doing. So you feel what's happening in your hands and you see that, right? What we want as far as grip pressure is our dominant hand firmly holds the gun so it doesn't move around. How hard does it look like I'm holding the gun with my firing hand here?
A little hard.
Yeah, so it's firm. It's like you see my fingertips turn a little bit color, but I'm not clamping on it or bearing down into the gun. Again, I like the word connected. I'm staying connected to the gun so the gun is not moving around in my hand at all. It's just a stable spot. More pressure than that is not going to help me. It doesn't do anything. All it does is make it more difficult to move my trigger finger quickly and independently of the rest of my hand. Okay, so in a sense, one way of thinking about it is you're going to hold the gun as loose as you can. In a sense. Now, it depends on your perception and your prior training. So if you were trained for a long time, like, no, dude, 100 and 100, fucking clamp on it as hard as I can. Probably if you start shooting like this way, you're going to feel like you're barely holding onto the gun. Does that make sense? Like that's a very common experience. People's perception is that they're hardly holding on to it. But that's what, I mean, again, the idea is you just stay connected. That's it. Now with your support hand, again, I'm going to connect to the frame of the gun here. Like this is the part I want to hang on to, right? So I'll put enough force in there that friction holds the gun in place. Like it can't slide around in my hand because I've got enough pressure onto the gun so that it doesn't move around. Now, more pressure with your non-dominant hand, that's not really a big deal. You're not pulling the trigger with that hand, but just understand it doesn't really help you once you get to the point that the gun is not moving around in your hand. So if you're shooting and I'm looking at you from the side and I see the trigger guard bouncing off your hand, this is not good. It means the gun's not connected. If I see this, gun and hands moving together as a unit, this will mean, yep, you're connected to the gun. It's not moving. More pressure, not going to help. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, now let's talk about these high hits. As Matt said, yes, this is when you're staring at the dot. They go up high. That's what happens. So what makes the bullets go where we're looking is visually focusing on that spot. In an intuitive sense, the same as you drive a car, you're like, oh, I want to go over there. The car goes over there. You're not conscious about what your hands are doing on the wheel. You just look where you want to go and it goes there. Same as if you're using your computer, right? You're looking around. You're like, oh, midget porn. Like pointer appears, click, right? But that's how it works. I mean, you're not conscious. You're like, oh, I want to click on it fast. So I'll like whip the mouse over there. You don't do that. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Let's back up. I'll give you a couple more examples. You just type it in? Y'all can get all kinds of porn up in Canada, right?
This sounds like a loaded question. But,
well, no, I mean, like, you can get all the porn, and you can even get euthanized, right? If you want, they're doing that.
Sure, it's becoming a thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay, see, Canada's very progressive that way. That's great. All right, let me make an example here for you of, philosophy, right? The way that what we're trying to accomplish. Now, I'm going to get super tense and try to mitigate the rise of the gun. Okay, so there I tensed up everything as hard as I could, rolled my elbows out, like as much muscle as I could on the gun to try to mitigate the rise. There was so much tension in my hand, I even got trigger freeze. Like my finger wouldn't come off the trigger to reset it. Okay, the question is, did that look like the gun was more controlled? It didn't look like it to me. I'll make another example where I'm shooting the way I'm talking about. I'm just holding the gun with my hands and my forearms. That's it. I'm going to stay connected to it, let it recoil. It's going to do what it's going to do. And instead I look at a spot and I want it to come back to that spot. Now watch what this looks like. Really, what was the difference between the two in terms of performance? Aside from the trigger freeze on the first example, there wasn't much difference. You're just looking at me and my posture and demeanor is like, I'm totally relaxed. And what I'll say is that makes everything else you want to do with shooting, that'll make it easier. So if you're moving around, you want to like look and shoot over here, track a moving target, whatever, all of that becomes easier when you take the tension out of your body and you just hold the gun with your hands, because then it'll go right to where you're looking. Okay? So we emphasize consistency, predictability, repeatability. That's what matters. It's not so much for trying to mitigate that the gun's going to go up and it's going to go up in recoil. Make sense so far? Okay, make one more example for you. Oh, I can do a pretty effed up one. Let's do this. All right, watch my grip carefully. Now, does anybody think I should actually shoot this way? I would say, yeah, big yes. I would say no. That looked really stupid, right? Now, how could I still shoot sort of effectively with my grip all fucked up? Yeah, so I'm staring at a spot and I'm just focused on not fighting with the gun, right? That is what does the job for you. Now, for training purposes, you want to connect to the gun consistent, predictable, repeatable way so I don't have to think about what I'm doing. If my grip's all fucked up like that, I have to be very conscious not to push the gun down and make sure I'm connected to a spot on the target. So that wouldn't be a good way to shoot for score, because it takes all my mental energy not to push on the gun. But again, like what we're trying to do here is just get it in your head. Look at a spot, connect to the gun, let it recoil. It's going to come back if you keep looking at a spot. We want to make this a habit. So again, so you don't have to think about it. Right now, for most of you, you're going to have to actively be thinking about what you're doing. You're making sure you're not pushing on the gun, making sure your hands are in a consistent spot, and really managing the pressures. Make sense to everyone? Okay, any questions about this? All right, with that, we're going to shoot in 2 groups, white and black. I thought that was the most PC thing to do. Right? No? We got a lot of Asian dudes here. The race stuff should be good to go. Right? No? Dude, I just let it rip. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. All right. So we'll shoot in white group, black group, like half the group at a time shooting. We'll shoot a set of magazines on the drill. We'll go assess it, paste it up, back up some, do it again, go assess it, back up, do it again, that kind of thing. So we'll work our way through this, again, shooting in 2 relays. All right, let's paste this up if we could, and we'll get going. Okay, so we got to talk about target focus, the difference between awareness and focus, and then we'll do a little exercise to highlight this. So it's easy to say target focus, like, oh, you should be target focused, dude. But what does that really mean? Yeah, yes. So what I like to say is I'm going to look to a small spot on the target with hatred in my heart. Honestly, like here I've given you a white sticker, so you're going to stare at that like a very small spot, and hatred in your heart, meaning like the intent to drive bullets there. All right, that intent is what's going to bring the gun back to that spot. Okay, that's really what it means. So the target should appear clear. You should see a lot of detail on it, and you should look to that small spot. Now, if that aiming reference is not there, if it does not exist, what you should do is like you're looking for that spot, even though it doesn't really exist. What I mean is like, imagine we trained, we're not going to do this, but we have 2 stickers there now, creating that aiming reference. We'd shoot a little bit with 2 stickers. Then make it 1 sticker, shoot some more. And it's like the spot gets small and you're like, oh, fuck, what the fuck is that? Like you look into it, then you pull the sticker in half and you're looking for that small spot, and then the sticker's not there anymore. And it's like, it's not there, but it's like you're looking for anything, something small on the target. Does that make sense? It's like you're really trying to drive bullets in a small spot. All right. However, you should be aware of what your sight's doing. So you're focused on the target, but you're aware of the sights. Now, the best example I've come up with is to talk about the lady from Scottsdale. Have you guys heard about the Scottsdale lady? No. Okay, where's the money at here? Bellevue? Yes. All right, so Real Housewives of Bellevue. So let's say you guys are married, right? Yeah. Some of you, well, you're smart, but some of you guys are. All right, so let's say you're sitting across from your wife at a very nice restaurant in Bellevue. One of the Real Housewives of Bellevue comes across and she walks by in the background. She's got the big fake hoodies, the long hair, all the upgrades. You know what I mean? Are you aware she's there? You are aware. Are you focused on her? Okay, so you're sitting across from your wife and you do this. What's going to happen? Nothing good. Nothing good. It's just like that. That's how you shoot a red dot. It's like, I'm focused. It's like, shit, yeah, I'm aware of what's going on here. So you're staring at a spot and the red dot's doing what it does, whatever. It's like flying around, but you're aware of that, but you don't focus on it. As soon as your vision goes up onto the red thing, now your shots start to track up and they don't come back to where you want. Or you'll see the red dot on top of brown and you'll register it good. You're like, yeah, looks good, send. Looks good, send. And the hits blow out. You don't have the accuracy anymore. It's worse than the Real Housewife of Bellevue being in the background. Imagine she's in a thong pole dancing on the table in between you and your wife. That's more what's happening, right? Because the spot's out there and it's like, my gun is here and this thing's flying around and I've got to look through it, but not at it. It's kind of a complicated dance to do. It's so subtle, it's hard for people to really notice. So let's say I'm looking at this spot out here. Watch what happens to my eyes. You see the difference between this and this? What happened? Yeah, that's what happens. People's sights coming up, they become aware of it peripherally, then they change their focus, that you see this demeanor change or this posture change, where their head goes down and you're like, fuckers on the dot, right? Okay, so this is what we are trying to not do. We are trying to look at the spot on the target, not look at the red dot. Now, the easiest tool, aside from the aiming references that can help you with this, is occlusion. How many of you have seen this? Yes, have you tried it? You have yeah, that's great. Chinese dudes have got it on point. Look at that. What? It's good, man.
Take all of our stuff.
Hey, man, I know I buy Holosun because they're cheap. And I know I got an iPhone. I can tell you that too. Anyway, the way that this works is, looking out at a spot, I'm aware of the red dot. And if I want to focus out on something long away, my brain will just feed me the picture from my non-dominant eye. If I focus on the red dot on the close thing, then the tape shuts down my view of the target. This is a good thing. If we think there's a problem, I'll just occlude your sight for a while. All right. You with me so far on the target focus? Okay, now let's do a little exercise here so we learn about returning the gun just by staring at a spot. Would you be so kind as to give me a beep every 3 seconds? It's going to feel like forever. It's just the big green button. All right, I want you to watch my gun. Just watch my gun, watch what it does. The exercise, I'm going to be aimed at a spot on the target. I hear the beep, I pull the trigger right away. We're not assessing where the bullets go. I don't care about that part. The exercise begins after I've fired the gun, and then I'm going to return the gun back down to that white spot. All right. I'll make a few examples for you. Watch the gun, please. All right. Okay, so you saw it a few different ways. Yeah? Thank you, sir. Very nice. Very nice timer work. So what did you see? What's that? I did do that at one point. So at the beginning and end is what I would judge as correct or good. It's like looking at a spot, I'm just staring at white. I want the gun to come back to white. Boom. And what, to my perception, it's like the dot just came right back to where I was looking. I did not see the dot go down below the white sticker. Should you see the dot go down below that? No. If you see that, it's like, you're doing that shit. That's not the gun. You're doing that, right? And kind of what most people take away from this is how little energy it takes to return the gun. Another way to think about it, the gun goes up in recoil to here. How much energy does it take to make the gun go there? Yeah, it's like not much. I don't know what that is in like kilojoules or whatever, but it's not a big number. You know, it's like, it's very little. So if you feel like you're fighting with the gun to make it do stuff, you're doing too much. Okay. Then a lot of dudes, they perceive they're pushing the gun down. You saw me, one of the bad examples I gave was where I had the intent to push the gun down so the dot never rose up. So the dot would go, I would push down on the gun, and then it's like it would come back up from below to my aiming point, right? And you could see, it was very apparent I was pushing the gun down. Some people recognize that they're doing that, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll just do it really slow. Boom, let the gun go up, stare at the dot, return it back down. It's like, they'll do that to make sure they don't push it down. That's not really the right reaction either. I just want to show you that that is not the right thing. If you're staring at the dot, it'll be very apparent when we watch the gun return. Okay? Does this make sense to everyone? All right, so we're going to try this. Both relays will try this. Again, gun mounted on the spot. Beep, boom, return. Beep, boom, return. And then we'll get back on doing doubles. Okay. I'll make a couple examples for you. Now that we're back at a little bit of distance, there tends to be a couple of changes that happen. All right. Watch what I do here with my gun. Again, this happens when we get at a little bit of distance. What was I focused on? Definitely. So what happens is, as we perceive that the difficulty is more, now people want to stare at their red dot and aim more. The other thing that's happening is, at this distance, for most of the way that most of the guns set up here, your sight is going to leave the target in recoil and then come back. Now, does that matter? No. I look at a spot, the gun comes back to where I'm looking. That's the way it's meant to be. However, psychologically, when the sight leaves the target, people are like, oh, and they want to like give it some help and push it back down, right? So down there on that target, there's going to be some in the center and a bunch of low hits. The other thing we can highlight here is you'd be surprised how well you can shoot at a little bit of distance as long as you maintain the same principles. So I'm going to hold the gun the same way. Let's go up there. Now, how much slower was that? Not too much. I agree. All right. But very, very acceptable hits, shooting aggressively. And we're just maintaining the same, like I'm thinking about it just that simply. Stare at the spot, connect to the gun with my firing hand, clamp on with my support hand, look at the spot, pair, like let the dot do what it's going to do. Just keep focused on my spot. In this bad example, it was hard for you to see it up there, but there's low stuff off the target because I'm trying to help the gun, pushing it back down with my dominant hand. Not the thing to do. But you can shoot very, very effectively, even at a little bit of distance this way. This isn't necessarily an engagement strategy. It's just it's a good training tool. And what I mean by that is we can shoot beyond what the limits are at this distance, and you'll be like, okay, I wouldn't want to shoot this way to match. I wouldn't want to shoot this way for real, but you'll learn what you can get away with. Do you understand? All right, let's give it a try. Oh, we got to pace these too. We'll let Dick. All right, I'm going to make a few examples for you. We're just going to start moving our feet a little bit. That's the whole point of the exercise. So I'll make a few examples, like I said, and then we will chat. It's good, right? You can say it looked gay. Like, that's not going to upset me. That was not the right example. Okay. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. All right, which one do we like? The last one, the John Wick one, like that. Yeah, okay, so what we're doing here, like I said, we're just going to introduce a little bit of movement. The exercise is shoot each target with 2 rounds from one side of the stick. Shoot each target with 2 rounds from the other side of the stick. That's it. You only have to take one step. Now, I don't know who's going to do it. I really don't. Could be someone over here. Could be someone over here. I don't know, but somebody will like draw. They're going to be like, boom, 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 like that. And it'll be like, that's not what you're supposed to do. It's just take one step. It's just step over the stick. That's it. All right, what we want is feet spread apart, knees bent, ready to move. Think about it like that. All right, we start and stop the exercise that way. So when you get finished, like conscious check, am I ready for the next movement? Feet spread apart, knees bent, 50-50 weight distribution, ready to cut any direction I might have to. All right. Now, the last example I gave you, it was a fluid situation. Like I was just continually shooting and moving, right? That is what we wanted to develop into. So the way I like to think about that is disconnecting what my lower body's doing from what my upper body, my shooting is doing. You saw in a couple examples I gave, I got all tucked into my stance and then I started pulling the trigger, right? That's not really what you need to do. At this distance, what do we need to see off the sight to put bullets in the middle? Flash of red. I agree with that. You see a flash of red, react to it, start shooting. Okay. Here's another way to conceptualize this. Some more blammo. If I just stand here and I hammer each target and shoot the drill standing still, what was the difference between the two runs? Yeah, I moved my feet. Does that make sense? Like we should be very comfortable with the idea that you can like move around like this and just smash targets at 5 yards, reacting to the color of the sight. And again, it's like when you register the sight is where in the middle, start shooting right away. That should be disconnected from what your feet are doing. What we're trying to take away from this is to develop kind of a fluid style, which I can be shooting, roll out of position, move, set up, and then start shooting as and when it's appropriate. So if I want to set up and stop here, at some point, I'll register the right sight picture and start shooting. And again, at close range like this, we're just looking for that flash of red, the color confirmation. Make sense to everybody? All right, one other thing. We've got some of these are set up where you're going to move laterally. You're going to have the easiest time taking a cross step or crossing your body in order to get set up wide like this. If I do one of these deals, this is a no-go, right? This is a no-go zone because I'm not able to do the next movement. If I start shooting like this and then I want to take off and get going, everybody will do the same thing. They're like, oh, I want to be over there now. Coil themselves up, kick their foot off, and then take off. So we judge all that time as wasted. Instead, I want to be like this. Oh, I want to go over there, and I'm immediately into movement. That's the idea. Any questions? No? Okay, cool. Let's get to it. We're going to make this exercise a little bit tougher, and then I've got another exercise set up on Bay 1. I'll show them to you, and then we'll get to it. So what we're going to do to make this tougher, you'll be moving twice instead of once, and we'll be changing around the target order. In terms of difficulty, I'd say this is like 3 times as hard as what we were doing. So let me make an example for you. Okay, so now, like I said, there'll be 2 movements, not 1. All right, the 2 targets, think of it as 4 targets. You've got the lower A zone and then the upper A zone credit card. Now, in a match, I know most of you guys would probably be happy if you like hit the head when you're shooting at the head. I actually want you to try to, yeah, you're honest at least. You're like, yeah, I know, I've been to matches before. Dudes are like, yeah, it's a hit, it's good. But we're going to try to put him in the A zone. Okay, so the point of the last drill was to get to stability, right? So you get comfortable with the idea of stepping in and stabilizing and then continuing to shoot. So the engagement order is going to be step and shoot lower A zone, get to stability, transition to upper A zone. Now, instead of shooting a flash of red, I want you to shoot reacting to the dot. So look at a small spot. I like the top of the perf line here. Look at a small spot, dot press, reacting to what I see. And in that moment, I should be stable. Then I'm going to go back the other direction on the stick. So if I'm moving laterally, I'll just step back the other way. While I'm doing that, engage the lower A zone that I haven't shot yet. So look, flash of red, shoot. As I stabilize, look up to the head box I haven't shot yet. Look to the top of the credit card, dot press. So we kind of like move, shoot, stabilize, shoot, move, shoot, stabilize, shoot. This is much, much more complicated, right? Okay. So we're going to lean heavily on the dry fire to make sure you understand the drill before you start shooting it. But it's just a harder version of what we were already doing. Does this make sense to everyone, though? All right, let's go to the other side. Shattering stereotypes, guys. What if I told you I like watching NBC and shopping at Target? It's like total white dude stuff, right? Yeah. I don't like shopping at Target, just so you know. Okay, we're going to work some target transitions. So this is going to be a pretty complicated sequence. As we make the sequence more complicated, basically it's going to remove your ability to think your way through the exercise, so your habits are just going to come out. What we're going to do, I've marked one target on each side with the white pasters. That target is the one that you're always going to start and stop on. So for this over here, I'm going to shoot this target, then a different target. Back to this target, different target. Back to this target, different target, and finish out on this target. Total of 14 rounds fired. Then this is just going to get a lot of gun movement going on. Okay, so also notice the targets are slightly different configuration as you look around the range. It's meant to be kind of randomized, give you a sample of different things, different distances. Okay, the first thing we want to do is look at this and just consciously think about what type of conformation is appropriate. Now, up close on this target, for everybody, it should be see a flash of red, smash the target. How fast should we be shooting on that one? As fast as you can pull the trigger. Yeah, that's what I want to see. Look, flash of red, boom, boom, as fast as you can pull the trigger. Whatever you got in your gun, as fast as you can go. On the targets with no shoots, I think it's wise to both consider where you're looking and how aggressively you're going to be shooting. Like, can I get these A's here? Should it be red smash? Probably not. So probably look up at the top of the A zone, dot press, slide him right into the A. On this target, see, we've got a much reduced area and we'll be shooting from that cone. At that distance, it's like I'm going to look up away from the center of the A zone, look away from that no shoot. If I'm looking up high and I'm letting C slip out to the high side in order to stay off the no shoot, that is fine. But I just want to consciously think about that stuff before I shoot. Okay, when you come over, I want you to dry fire. Now, watch how I go through dry. My gun's actually loaded, but that's okay. I'm going to go through it dry. I'm going to look to the target. Gun goes to the target. I register the sight picture I want, and then I'm going to go to the next target. All right, so watch how busy this is. You can see it's very immediate. I think this is a good way to do the dry fire, taking the trigger press out of it and also not going, sounds goofy, but some guys go boom, 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 boom. They'll be verbally saying that. They have a concept of how fast they're going to shoot in their head, and I don't think that's helpful. It's kind of putting you in grooves that may or may not be right. What we want to do is just react to what we see. That's a better way to do it. And then you won't be trying to impose some concept of how fast you should be going. All right, so go through it dry. Is my gun moving fast here? I agree. My gun is not moving fast. All right, now we'll put in the live ammo. Okay. Did that seem fast now with the shooting? All right, so the lesson here is what makes you fast isn't the mechanical speed that you're pushing the gun around with. It's immediately reacting to what you're meant to see. All right, now I'm going to go a little, like if it's looking like that was kind of okay run, we'll go harder and see what happens. Right, so we want to go like that and go as aggressively as you can, right? This is a game of visual precision, like grabbing the right spot on the target, the gun goes right to where you're looking. As you start to tense up and try to go faster, you tense up your upper body and start throwing the gun around, you will not be precise, all right? The other thing that people take away from this is target focus. They start learning like what target focus really looks like. I think what it is with the gun swinging around so much, if you're staring at the dot, it'll be very apparent that you're doing that. If you're like getting in front of the gun, then the dot comes to you, getting in front of the gun, then the sight comes to you. That's going to be the right way to do this. Make sense to everybody? Okay, so like I said this morning, we're going to disconnect now. What I want, like I'll run this bay or whatever, come over here, do some reps, then this bay will get reset. When it's safe, 2 people come up, start doing the dry fire, get the reps in, get used to it, and then when I come back from the other bay, we'll load up and run it. I don't want you rotating in big groups, like shoot this drill, then go over there and shoot that one, you know, individually. And then when you're done shooting that, come back over here and get another run at this. I want you to try to circulate through and get a couple of looks at each drill. Cool? Yep. Let's do it. Okay, we're gonna combine, well, not really combine. We're gonna work the same type of skills we were working. So stance, feet spread apart, knees bent. We want to start and stop this way, right? And then add in a little bit of movement. I'll make a couple examples for you. It should be pretty obvious what is right and what is wrong after I do the examples. It's good, right? No. Okay, so what differences did we see between those two? Yeah. So the movement actually started a little bit early. So think back to the drill we just did. Shooting, stepping over the stick, that kind of thing. The way we'd actually use that or leverage that type of skill. So look at the targets. It's like, can I shoot these while I'm a little bit destabilized? That's it. And based on training and experience, you'll have a good understanding of what that is. This is getting on the little further end, but it's definitely doable. So in order to gain a little advantage, gain a little speed, you saw me destabilize myself and start rolling my shoulders out of position like that. Not too dissimilar from the drill we were just doing, shooting like this. This is how you actually use it. The cue that I like to use, or I like to think of it as just rolling my shoulders out or letting myself fall in the direction I'm going to go. And then when I feel like I'm done shooting, I'm down low and I can just put power into movement. So you saw as soon as I wanted to move, it was very aggressive. This is the same thing, just in reverse. I'm approaching a position I intend to shoot from. So think about the drill we did with the sticks. You got used to doing this, stepping in with the gun up, ready to go, right? Same concept here. Looking through the barrels. I'm not looking at the barrel. The barrel's never clear. I'm looking through it, not really, but I know there's a target back there that I want to shoot, so I'm looking for that. I'm not looking at the barrel. And then when I register the sight on the target the way I want, then I start shooting, okay? I put a no shoot there intentionally to keep you a little bit honest when you roll in there. What you should be looking for from the sight is dot looks like a dot, but it's gonna be floating around just a top part of the A zone, maybe a little above, that's fine, send it. So react to that. And again, you shoot setting up in position and you wanna finish in stability. Does this make sense to everybody? All right, so same concept we were just working on, just harder, just some actual movement. On the other side, on that drill over there with the target transitions, like I said, I think that's really good to start to understand what your habits are. So how many of you get going in a hurry and one of the close brown targets just like brown, shoot. And like after a few reps of that, it's like pretty loose hits, like not really the accountability you want. The other thing we're seeing is the targets at 10, 12 yards. They're not super far away. But when guys are being really deliberate, like the gun will come there and they'll stop and they're looking at it and then they shoot. We call that over-confirming. So as soon as you see that flash of red, I would still be reactive to red to 15 yards if it's a wide open target. If there's nothing there reducing the target area, I'm just going to be flash of red. All right, so you can shoot really aggressively that way. Any other problems or issues you've seen over on that drill? No? I think everybody got to do it once, maybe 1.5 times. So we'll keep that one running the way it is, and we'll flip this to this. And in a little bit, when that drill kind of runs its course, we'll change that to something else too. Okay, let's get back to it. No, it doesn't look hard. I can promise you it is hard. What am I going to do to you? It is something fucked up. Jesus. Okay. Now, we've been working today on shooting, following the normal rules. Look at a spot, sight comes to you, then you react to that and pull the trigger. There's a lot of good reasons why this is the procedure, right? Sights, then trigger. Yes? A lot of good reasons. However, now we're going to change the rules. All right, so we're going to be forced to shoot to a rhythm or a cadence. This is just a training tool, not an engagement strategy. This is not something I would tell you to do when you're shooting for score, but we can learn from this if we do it in a controlled fashion. So I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to do a controlled bill drill on one of the targets, but I'll make it an 8-shot bill drill. But I'm just going to shoot controlled. And I'll make a couple examples just so you understand what I'm talking about. That's what I want. Look at a small spot, draw the gun, and you heard it was a very even tempo. Now, a lot of you guys with these competitioned out shadows, stuff like that, once you start ripping on a target, you kind of relax your hand and you almost start bump firing the gun. I'll make an example of that. You hear that, how I kind of sped up as I went? Because I'm trying to just maximize the speed of the shooting. I want you to do the first thing. I don't want you to do the second thing. Okay? So it's an even tempo, even cadence, shooting with tons of control. Whatever that speed is for you with the way your trigger is set up, whatever that is, that's what I want you to do. All right, now I'm going to shoot that tempo, and I'm just going to, every 2 rounds, I'll flip my vision to the next target. Okay? So I'll make an example of that. Hey, if I do it right, the gun, everything's going to go where I look. Okay, let me give you an example. This will be about 1/3 of you or half of you. It was good, right? No, this was not good. So, yeah, that's not what I want you to do. That's sight, then trigger, and you're just focused on the shooting speed. Again, I want you to break away from that, and instead you're going to shoot the rhythm that I want you to shoot. In a sense, what ends up happening is your vision catches up with what you're doing. So you do some reps on this, and you'll notice, like, you'll look at a spot, you'll be pulling the trigger anyway, even though it feels weird. And you look to the next spot, and you'll be like, no, I know that they went where I wanted on that target. You just saw a flash of the gun, a flash of the color from the top, with the sight. You're like, you'll know that that's good enough. Like, you know what I mean? Your vision will catch up with what you're doing. Let me make another example for you. What'd I do wrong? Yeah, so I connected to the red dot, and then I just tried to paint the red across the brown. Very clear difference in terms of the outcome. Let's do another fun one. What happened? You saw a change in my shoulders. They tensed up as I went. And by the time I got to the last target, I was tense and just throwing the gun over at the target. Because this is going to pressure you, in that sense, with the time, you'll feel like you won't have time. Typically, when people feel like they're running out of time, they tense up and they start whipping the gun around. That's why these hits went down here. If instead I just stay relaxed, look where I want to go, the gun will go there. One more example for you. What happened with that, Charlie? I could tell you. Yeah, I just tensed up and whipped the gun over there. That's it. Let's do one more. Go a little faster. That's okay. Yeah, they're in. Okay, anyway, you get the idea. Again, this is not a way you'd engage targets. I don't want you to, this is just a training tool just for right now. You're going to be held to a tempo and see what you can learn from it. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Start our first string with 8.
Yes.
Dead center.
Eight shot bill drill. That kind of gives you the tempo, and then you're just going to replicate that feeling.
So when you transition, do you also accept the transition and next shot be the same as the first and second shot?
Yeah, it has to be the same. The transition, I don't want to hear the transitions. This is going to be very uncomfortable for most of you. I promise. Kind of like getting a prostate exam or whatever. Whatever. All right, let's go. Sorry. Is everybody here? 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. Gentlemen, come on over. What did we get out of today?
Visual precision.
Visual precision, that's important. What else?
Don't hold the gun like an idiot.
Don't hold the gun like Well, you know, I think it's like, it's an intuitive thing. You're like, oh, if I hold it more and harder, that's going to be more better. And then it'll be more controlled, but it's not true as you're seeing. Yeah. So what I'd like to highlight is all the concepts that we worked on were extremely simple. Is that fair?
Yes.
How you hold the gun, not a complicated thing. Target focus, not really complicated to talk about. All the movement stuff we did, not, hey, just try to be in this wide athletic posture, you know, when you stop, not complicated. But as far as actually doing it, it's very difficult to do those things. To actually force yourself to really do it systematically with precision all the time. Now, I promise you, you're going to be highlighting some bad habits you have. Yeah. So let's say you start ripping and you overtense your firing hand and you trigger freeze, or every time you move, you want to stand on one leg. Or you can't keep a tempo or whatever. Everybody's a little bit different. So you're just seeing those habits get exposed. And then the way that you change that is like systematic training, focusing only on that one thing that you're trying to change. All right. I think we're pretty good shape for today. We'll be back here same time tomorrow. Actually, Nicole, did you ask? Okay. So we heard shooting before 10 today. And it was like, oh, can we start shooting at 9? What's that? Only if it's shotgun. Those are less noisy than handguns, apparently. It's really important to know that. Fucking assholes. All right. Well, I would ask your help if we could put the range back the way we left it. So barrels back, target stands back in the thing, and just police up any trash. And then if you see any pasters laying around, they will not survive tonight. So we need to collect that stuff. All right. Thank you, guys. Let's do that. I'll make 2 examples for you. We're going to be working on shooting into position over here. It should be pretty obvious from the examples what we want to do. Now you can see I didn't really cleanly shoot into position. I broke it up a lot and was like half stepping, coming over step by step by step. Now, we don't want to use this as the vision barrier as cover or a position that stops us. Instead, I just want to move opposite this thing, set myself up, stop, and shoot the targets. What people tend to do is they see the first target they intend to shoot and they just stop everything. They'll see that and they want to stop and then shoot. People are not comfortable shooting as they step into position that they need to be in. So we'll run it again. You can see that looked quite a lot different. It was continual shooting the whole time. One thing I like to keep in my head is if I stood at the ending position and just shot those targets, it should feel pretty similar moving my feet in and shooting as I'm doing the movement. Does that make sense to everyone? All right. Any questions about this?
When you are planning this,
Yes.
you plan it like a stage plan where you find your spot where you're going to be, or is it a reactive, like as soon as the target comes in?
Yeah, that's
You're in
good.
a good spot.
Yeah, it is. So what I'm looking to do is like I'll look to a spot that I'm running. It's not different between stages and drills. Like I'll look to the spot I know I'm going to run to. When I know I'm going to get over here and I need to be here somewhere, like then I'll shift my attention up to shooting. I'll react to what I see and shoot as I see the target. And you're right, I'll peripherally see the targets open up. And what I want to do is get to a position where I can see all 4 of these at once. And once I can see all 4, stop. And I want to make sure I'm feet spread apart, knees bent. Okay, so what people get messed up on this one is the barrels. Like they get too close to the barrels. They make it an issue like this coming in. They have to get the gun in around like this. Like, none of that should be happening. It's just to block your vision. It's not to dictate where you stand. Okay, let's go over to the other side. So this is going to look like another movement drill. It's not really. I want to focus on the visual part of this. This is an excellent exercise to help ingrain target focus. What we're going to do is start on either the left or the right side. You shoot the left target on the left, the right target on the right, and the 2 targets in the middle get shot in the middle. I'll make a couple examples for you. That look good to anybody? No, look terrible. So if you're staring at your sight and you insist on your dot stopping and looking stable, that's kind of what you get. So it's over confirming, wanting the red dot to look like a dot. And then again, you see a guy like walk, stop like that. That's a pretty good indication that they're staring at the sight and they don't like what they're seeing. So they want to stop everything and then shoot. Instead, we want this to be a nice fluid situation. What should I be reacting to as far as like confirmation on the targets? What should I be seeing? Yeah, exactly. Just flash of red is enough at this distance. And if you're sitting there looking for more, it typically just slows things down. One thing I like to say is like sight pictures don't improve with time. They really tend not to. It's like, it just tends to degrade with more time. All right, another example for you. Shit, that's bright. Looked a lot different, right? All right. So that's what I want you walk through here. Look at a spot, look, shoot, look, shoot, look, shoot. Come up a little closer. I want to shoot this like a good training pace for me. Because that was not. Now, if I shoot, like what you develop into pretty quickly once we start running this, for training, I'm going to look to where I think the target is and how accurate I am visually. That's the whole thing. Because as soon as I see red flash, I'm going to pull the trigger, right? So what I'll end up seeing is if I just grab the wrong spot of the target, both bullets will go next to each other, just in the wrong spot. So if you're shooting this well, I'll want you to go harder like this. So make an example for you. So like I said, this should be training pace for me. Right, so you can see very, very uncomfortable. And what did I do wrong? What's that? Yeah, so this target over on the right. Yeah, so now I can recall this. I went around the barrel. I'm looking for that spot on the target. I just got pulled onto the red and I saw that bright thing, pulled the trigger, and I realized the dot was just a little bit in the wrong spot on the target. All right, but I mean, I'm shooting a super aggressive pace where there's no time for any corrections. But like I said, if you're shooting it like this, you're gonna understand target focus. Okay, these vision barriers, they're just here as a barrier. Should this ever appear clear? No, you're not looking at it, you're looking through it for a target you know is on the other side. And the accuracy you have finding the spot on the brown thing, that's gonna be the accuracy you get out of the drill. Make sense to everyone? Okay, so just like yesterday, just circulate around. I want you to get a couple of looks at each of these. After a little while, I'll change this one and I'll change the other setup to something else. Maybe after, I don't know, an hour. So just, like I said, circulate around, make sure you get a look at everything because I'll start changing it in a while. Cool, all right, let's do that. Okay. Hey. Hello. We're putting out the aiming references here. All right. Now, if there's a problem in terms of accuracy, where is it on this drill? Where's the problem? I agree. The middle one are the problem. So let's back up. With the aiming references out, you're going to have an easy time like seeing where your sight is. What I want you to do is try this variation. So what I'm going to do is shoot the first shot of the drill and the last shot. For every other shot, I'm just going to play with the trigger. Okay, if I inadvertently fire one, no big deal. It should just go right through a target. And for whatever reason, firing around and knowing you're going to fire around gets people to tense up in the right way. It's very helpful. So I'll make an example here for you. All right, make another example. Watch the way the gun moves through the center. What are you expecting to see there as far as the hits with the way the gun was moving? Yeah, so now with the aiming references there, it's really easy to see my sight slashing around on the targets. It should not look like that. It should look like I connect to the black spot, the red dot comes over, and it's just wobbling while I stay on target. Make another example for you. So you can see, was the sight wobbling around, do you think?
Not that much.
Not that much. No, the gun looked pretty stable. So for whatever reason, people get a good sense when they're doing this. With this variation, they'll understand what's going on here. So on this side, if you're having a problem, aiming references and do the one shot variation until you feel like you want to shoot, then just shoot all 8 rounds. Cool? Okay, over here, we put in some no shoots. All right, now I'm going to shoot it with the no shoots here, and we'll see what kind of difference that makes. How much did that really slow things down? Not too much. A little bit for sure, but not that much. I'm still color confirmation, reacting to red. All right. The only change made to the process is I'm making sure I'm looking off that no shoot a little bit. All right. So you can still shoot very, 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 very quickly, very aggressively, color confirmation. And the no shoots are just here visually to mess with you. That's all. So we'll work these variations. Any questions about either of these? All right. Let's go to the other side. So here we're going to flip to rolling out of position while we shoot. You make a little example for you. I want you to see how subtle this really is. So when I'm talking about rolling out of position while I shoot, it wasn't a really extreme thing like doing this. It's just slide my shoulders, almost falling in the direction I want to go. And then just continuing the same shooting process. Now, intentionally, we've put the no-shoot target is the last one you're going to shoot. It'll feel much more difficult. It won't be difficult. It feels difficult if you have a target that you're shooting reactively while you leave, meaning dot press, dot press. Most of the problem shooting this way is that people don't like the way it feels to shoot off balance. So if you're off balance, people just start rushing. They just want to get the rounds out of the gun, which that's what we must not do. Instead, you follow the same process. Look at the spots you want to hit. Look here, dot press, dot press. Do I care that I'm off balance or that this feels bad? No, I just don't worry about it. It's easy to say, it's just hard to do. Hey, does this make sense to everyone?
Same thing.
Same thing, opposite way, yeah. Okay, let's continue. Horn rolls are pretty gangster. Thank you, Matt. cornrows.
I'm not just a pretty face.
No. All right, I'm going to show you guys the next thing we're doing. All right, pay attention to my stance as I go through this. Okay, so as you can see, got two movements here. We're going to start on the inside. We'll shoot the partial target, then shoot the two targets on the inside or on the outside, two targets, partial target, two targets again, move back over, and then back onto the partial. So again, the sequence, partial target here, move over here, target, target, partial target, target, target again, back to the inside, and then onto the no shoot. What we're trying to get out of this is a few things. This is complicated, right? There's a lot of things in play. We want, when we stop, feet spread apart, knees bent, ready for the next movement. Now, if you've been paying attention the last day and a half, these targets over here, are we going to be able to shoot those while we move? Yeah, exactly. So this target, with the no shoot on it, you're going to be kind of stopped when you shoot it. And then as we push over here, what I'd like you to do is leverage shooting into position and out of position if you can. Okay, so you're shooting effectively as you roll in and roll out. Now, this is a lot to think about, right? So, yeah, you'd have to have it pretty ingrained, the stuff we were working on this morning, in order to make this happen. But that'd be what I'd like to see. Now, when we have two movements, like I said, you want to make sure you stop properly like this so I can actually get going again when I want to move. It'll be very tempting to come over here and stop like this, which just makes it harder to do everything I have to do. So we don't want to see that. Okay? Pretty straightforward here. All right, let's go to the other side. I'll show you that one. Okay, we'll have another scenario over here. This will be a little more bent towards shooting on the move. I'll make an example for you, and we'll chat. So a little bit awkward angle here. What we're going to do, start on the cone and finish on the cone. When you start and stop, you shoot the target directly in front of the cone. We'll move around these barrels. At some point in here, I'd like you to shoot these three targets while you move. Simple enough? All right. What are we expecting to see when we're moving as far as like mistakes? Jesus. Yes, exactly. So that's why, there's a no shoot on one of these, and I want you to, try to put him in the middle. What guys end up doing, they come around here and just connect to the red dot, and then shots start pushing off in the direction they want to go. Or people just won't aim at all, and they just clack the trigger, just try to hang them on brown. We don't want either of those things. We want to be disciplined looking at spots. When you're finished shooting on the move, you probably didn't notice it, but what I'm looking for you to do is snap your head back to where you're supposed to go. So it's like, I'm done with this thing, which is shooting the last target. And then my head snaps like, where am I supposed to go? Leave the gun pointed down range. And I just like run back. Okay, cool. I'm going to get to this spot, then look up and shoot the target at the stop again. All right. So yes, shooting on the move mechanics here, very important. One other thing, keep your weight down. You don't want to be standing up. A lot of you guys have been kind of trying to get up tall like this when you're having to shoot and move. That's not helpful. So just keep your weight down. Make sense? All right, over here, just because of the angles that people are moving, we'll run one person, then the other, then one, then the other, then one, the other, like that. We won't be running simultaneously over here. Yeah, I was like, it's a little bit wonky, so I don't want to. Yeah, it's a little saucy for that. Okay, well, let's get back to it. We have some static shooting. This is going to bother my OCD. All right, I'm going to make a couple examples for you. We're going to work on some target transition stuff. Now, what type of confirmation is the most common one that we use? Color, right? Looking for color. Okay, I'll make a couple examples here. Like I said, it should be pretty obvious what we're looking for. All right. Those are very different examples, right? But what we're going to do is shoot this set of targets back to front. So everybody's going to shoot that order. For whatever reason, helping you, well, I'll tell you the reason, but it helps people ingrain color confirmation. The first example I gave, I moved the gun to where it was supposed to be. Then I sat there for a while, and then I shot the splits that you thought was appropriate. Is that what everyone saw? All right, so that's what over confirmation looks like, which we want to break out of. The second example is more what I'd say is correct, where I'm shooting appropriately. As soon as the gun is coming into the targets on the closer ones, I'm registering the color and shooting. That's what I want to see. Now, the way that this works is you'll draw, establish a good grip and everything, get all comfortable back here, and then as you work your way in, you should be very confident about where things are going. So you just react to color. Make sense? It's not a complicated drill, but I don't want to see the first thing. I don't want to see over confirmation. I want to see you reacting to the color. Questions here? All right, let's go to the other one. All right, I'll make an example for you here. This will be another target transition type of exercise. Okay, so what we're going to do here is shoot all the A zones in a crisscross pattern. So it'll be lower, upper, lower, upper, lower, upper, with a reload in the middle. There's a pretty stark difference in terms of confirmation here, right? It was either color confirmation, so red, and I'd smash with a pair, shoot two at once. Or if there is the upper A zone credit cards, I'm going to shoot reactively. Now, do you have to shoot this that way? What do you think? It's not a trick question. What? No, you don't have to. You can shoot more aggressively if you want. You can shoot a predictive pair or shoot an aggressive pair on the head boxes if you want. It's just way harder to get the alpha. So I'll go a little harder. We'll see. So you can do that if you want. That's more like competition pace for me, but again, it's way harder to get the alphas. We're going to try to get the alphas in the head, but things happen. What are going to be the main problems that we run into in a drill like this? A lot of transitioning, fast shooting, gun manipulation. What do we expect to see killing it? Firing hand tension. That'll be one. What else? Shooting. That'll be you, tough guy. Yeah, shooting at Brown. Or yeah, that'll happen. Or it's like a lot of times people get the magazine out for the reload and then they're already trying to shoot and they go trying to put everything together and they just don't get back on their grip. All of that stuff will be common. We want to do really snappy, aggressive shooting, but still have it be disciplined as well. Okay, any questions on any of these? Either of these? Yes, sir. Yeah, 3 setups here. Just the firing line will be from the cones here. Okay, well, let's go get it. Okay, let's talk about what we did the last 2 days. So we went through a series of drills, shooting, moving, multiple targets, that whole thing. Without thinking about it too hard, what were the big takeaways for you guys?
Visual precision again.
Visual precision, don't hold your gun stupid. What is holding your gun smart?
A consistent grip pressure that doesn't come with my trigger press.
That sounds great. Yeah, and I like what you say, consistent. Most people, the concept people have in their head of any kind of technique, but grip especially, is that it's like a unchanging type of thing. They're like, yeah, hold it like this. But nobody does that when they're actually shooting. They think they are, but they're not really paying attention to that. Anything else?
I found that I was diagnosing a lot of target focus, that I had a clear awareness of the target, was actually dot watching. My attention was on the dot, and I had detail, but I wasn't looking at the.
Yeah, so there's a difference between. That's a good point. That's why I talk about the difference between optical focus, like something being clear, like your eyes are on a certain focal plane, and then actually having hatred in your heart for the spot you want to send bullets, or like being intent on, no, I'm actually trying to send bullets there. That's very hard for people to wrap their head around. So all of these little things that we want to do, like as we're shooting on the drills, you discover that you have habits. So let's say, I know it's really loud. So let's say that as you're shooting more aggressively, your firing hand tenses up, or your support hand leaves, or you start hunching up your shoulders and staring at the sight when you think that whatever you're doing is challenging, like when it's hard. What other stuff is there? What about footwork stuff? You don't, like people not wanting to stop neutral and square and instead leaning to one side or the other. All these little things. My recommendation is that you make a list of all the habits you saw, like 5, 6, 7, 8 things. And then you just practice those in turn. On a near daily basis. So by practice, I'm talking about dry fire, of course. All right. Now, if I was going to dry fire grip, how would I do that? But what is that? Like, what actually would I do? Like, what would the drill look like?
The grips, just for the grips.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. Like, so to start with, if you want to change the way you grip the gun, you just draw to your grip. And I would do that for like 3 minutes. So beep, draw, get on the grip. And do that for 3 minutes. Is that a long time? I think it feels like a long time if you stand there doing it. If you're like, beep, draw, check your grip consciously. Okay. Beep, draw. I mean, it'd be like maybe 25, 30 repetitions in 3 minutes. It'd feel like a lot. Right? That's a long time, but to keep your brain on, like engaged on that task. What if you're the type that your grip changes during a long string of fire or a challenging string of fire? What's that? Yeah, so the way that you dry fire is like you have to recreate that. So make it complicated enough, whatever it is, enough targets, it's enough scenario there, and you're going aggressively enough that you recreate the same problem. This is what's hard for people to do. Like what is different about dry fire and live fire? What's the difference? Yeah, it's just the lack of bullets. It's the only difference. Right? You're not getting as much feedback about what you're doing without the live ammo. And I think it takes more, like the ammo itself, shooting adds some stress, It makes you want to clamp up on the gun. But you can recreate all that stuff just by pushing yourself for speed and making it more complicated. You can recreate that stuff. So what the point is, your dry fire, you just structure it so that you recreate a problem you're having just for like 3 minutes at a time. Your conscious brain goes on to that one habit that you're trying to change. And that's it. How long do you need to do that for? 2-3 weeks is what I find. 3 to 5 minutes a day to change a habit. Unless, let's say you've been training for a while and you've gotten to a pretty high level, like Caton, for example, already being a GM and shooting as much as you have, for you to change something, it might take 10 times as long. Like seriously. Because I see the stress reaction you have is like clamping with your dominant hand on the grip. It's like, that's going to be hard to change just because of the volume of practice that you've done in that way. But that'd be the recommendation, is like make a list of those things that you want to change and work on them systematically. And then when you come out and you do live fire again, I just view that as the test. It's like, I'm just notice all the drills were kind of similar. You set up, it's like you're shooting it. If it was like good, I just say, dude, go faster. And you shoot to the point of it breaking down where you're not happy with what's happening, right? To discover those habits. And then you go and dry fire and fix them. Then you come and you come back out to the range after some training and you shoot aggressively some more and just observe what happens. And it's like, did I fix the thing? Okay, go faster. Let's see what I can fix now. Does that make sense? It's like this constant feedback loop through live fire and dry fire. Does anybody have any questions about anything we did? No? Well, that's good. Well, with that, I appreciate the effort. The range ran really smooth. I mean, it was pretty easy on my end, so I appreciate the effort. If you'd help put the targets away, the way we did yesterday, so Nicole doesn't get in trouble, that'd be great. Yes, sir.
Quick question. So I noticed that Nicole was recording some of the videos.
It'll be up on YouTube eventually.
It will be on your channel.
It won't be like tomorrow, but it'll be up eventually.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yes. Thanks. All right.